What insights have you had thus far? Do you feel there's something left to forgive, or everything, all is sorted? Now I can just move on with my life.
It was that easy.
Sorry?
If it was that easy.
Okay. तो some of us may feel ना अभी सब ठीक हो गया है, अभी कुछ नहीं बाकी है, चलो पैक अप द बैग लिंडा, निकल जाओ.
वो फीलिंग जब आएगा, जब जाना होगा ना ऊपर,
हाँ ऊपर.
तब तक होपफुली एवरीथिंग विल बी सॉर्टेड.
Yeah. So let me share this story. The story was broadcasted on the show 10% Happier. The theme was forgiveness. So just imagine, this is a story told by a Tibetan teacher. Imagine walking on the pavement, on the footpath. Your arms are full of groceries and someone bumps into you roughly. All the groceries scatter. There is broken eggshells now and juice bottles broken there. And you're ready to shout, "You idiot, what is wrong with you? Are you blind?" You're ready to shout that. Just before you shout it, you realize that the person who bumped into you has also fallen in the middle of all those groceries. And you notice that that person is blind. What happens to your anger?
It dissipates.
Yeah, your anger just vanishes, it dissipates. So here's a situation where a moment ago you were in a stage of blame. There was hatred moving out of you. And suddenly, as you got the knowledge, from ignorance, you move to light because you're now able to see the whole picture. That's when you start operating from a more compassionate mode. Earlier, you were operating from a primitive mode. Understand this word, primitive. This word is where we are all stuck at. Whenever we have automatic responses, we are working from a primitive brain, from the limbic brain. So we are working on fight or flight mode then. This is where the whole aspect of forgiveness, why forgive, or why is this need to forgive, is because we are working at the level of blame somewhere. Someone did something wrong to me, someone did not maintain my boundaries, so I will not maintain theirs. Revenge, unforgiveness, resentment, all this is working at that level. And most of our hurts come from family members only. Most of our hurts are not coming from even our neighbors or friends or दूर के रिश्तेदार. Most of our deep hurts, our deep wounds will stem from the ones who are closest to us. So, what is now evolution is to move from the limbic brain to metacognition. Metacognition is to use your conscious mind in a meta manner. Meta being higher, upper, bigger. So become aware that there is suffering created by not forgiving, by holding back, by blaming, by name calling. When you have that deep desire, I want to move from this bracket of suffering that I have put myself into. When can you do that? Only when you are in consciousness. You can't do it when you're in an unconscious mode. So let me tell you another story. This is also, I think, in Thailand. Yeah. So there were these monks in Thailand who were given they had a beautiful statue of the Buddha. It was a clay Buddha, but it was very huge, very big. So because of that clay Buddha, a lot of people would visit their monastery. And they never had a problem with that statue being made of clay because there were a lot of magical powers associated with it, some healing and a lot of peace. But there was some construction work which needed to be done in the monastery, and the architect said we would need to move this statue. So, on a very rainy day, the statue was very gently shifted, and a crane took it, moved it. But one of the head priests, he wanted to check whether that statue is in good condition, because while moving things, anything can happen. So he lifted the tarp and he was just flashing the torch around to check, is everything all right? So he noticed a crack on the facade of the statue, and he was very worried. So he shone the torch on that crack. As he shone the torch there, he found a gleam, something glinting back at him. So he started working there, and he realized that below the clay, the statue was actually pure gold. Later, historians confirmed that Thailand, when it was known as Siam, when Thailand was known as Siam, there were a lot of attacks. Invaders used to keep coming there to that region. In order to protect the statue, which was of gold, from being taken away by these invaders, they plastered it with clay. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of that pain or that limbic system that tells you, okay, they did this to you, you should do this back to them. They treated you badly, you should treat them bad, you should never talk to them. Is because this system seeks to protect you, just as those monks, ancient time monks, decided we will plaster our gold statue with clay, so no one will know what is inside. And all these then are defense mechanisms, fight or flight behaviors that we display. Oh, they did this to me. I'm never going to talk to them. And I'll ensure that my children also never talk to them. And I'll keep that fire burning. You're working on the clay. You're not reaching the gold which is there beneath. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So our job today is to, can anyone tell me now, what is our job today?
To remove that clay out.
Exactly. To go below the clay, to discover the gold that is there within, and to allow the gold to shine. That is the process of forgiveness. The process of forgiveness is to remove the clay in front. So how does this clay come into play? Is that my heart creates an armor. It creates a barrier. When someone hurts me, it is an automatic response. So you need to be able to catch the automatic response, because it is hardwired into us. The body and your mind will always seek to protect you. No one else will protect you better than your own body and mind. Every illness that you have is a protective mechanism, but it is gone awry. Every illness is your body's way of taking the pain of the mind and protecting you and telling you, look, there's a problem, work on it. Look, there's a problem, work on it. but we have disconnected, dissociated with the root cause. So we never really think about what's the root cause here. We just work on the surface, trying to make the clay better. Making the clay better is never going to help. You have to go below the clay. You have to discover the gold within. So let's just work on this today. Let's work on our heart so that it can realize, it can understand that I don't have to keep the armor on always. I don't have to be in defense mode. With this intention in mind of releasing the hurt, releasing that armor, let's take our position in our meditative spaces. If anyone wants to ask anything, you can do it now before we get into the meditation.
Practically,
Yeah.
What I was saying is practically, as you said, meta. That means it's actually slowing down our actions, reflect actions, right?
Reflex action is the way we work currently, automatic. What's your question?
So that's it. I mean, I just said that that means slowing down our reflex action itself is to.
Yeah. So when you slow it down, it's as if now it's in slow motion. When it's in slow motion, I can catch it. See, this morning I got scalded by the lid of a hot vessel, okay, somewhere here. Very quick response.
Yeah.
The hand will jerk back. The hand will jerk back. It's very quick. A reflex action is very quick. But an emotional reflex action, you can actually slow it down. You can slow it down even in your mind. You need not go and do the whole thing again. You can slow down and observe what was happening then. That's what we will do in the meditation.
Okay.
Linda, I just want to ask something.
Yes.
So sometimes, through the day, I mean, not every day, but sometimes a memory just pops up, and a memory related to, childhood, where you feel that you were wronged in some form or the other.
You were wrong or you were wronged?
You were wronged.
Okay.
Wronged.
Okay.
And as in, you thought you were doing the right thing, but then you were wronged because someone pointed out, or someone laughed at you or something like that. If this comes to you after many years, as in, it's a memory of the past, but it's still sitting in the body somewhere. Probably that is why it has come out. And is this also something that would fall under forgiveness, or need release?
Always bring it into the
Hurt
rain.
is still there.
Bring it into the rain. RAIN.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what surfaced for me recently. It's a memory when I was maybe 7 or 8. Definitely 8. So 8 or 9, let's say. Not in secondary section, so not crossed 9. I was 8. And my cousins had come over, so I used to play with my cousins and not with my friends. My friends would come and take my ball. I had a red ball. So I would throw the ball down from the window. They would take the ball, play with it, and I think they would return it with someone who was living in my building. Now, when my cousins went back, I went to play with them. But I was given very shoddy treatment. They said, "You didn't come to play with us when your cousins were there, so you don't come now." I came back crying home and told my mother. Now, what happened is my mother went and shouted at them. And in fact, she was so angry, she shouted loudly. Everyone, I felt as an 8-year-old that everyone had gathered. I did not realize then that I was going through trauma. It's only recently, in the past week or 2 weeks, that this incident surfaced for healing. And I worked on it. So I was traumatized because A, my mother was shouting. I'd never seen her in that manner before. B, everyone was staring. Obviously, I was thinking they are staring at me. C, she was shouting at my friends too. So how are they going to take me to play anyway after that? A lot of things were happening. These three things surfaced. Then, of course, I did the inner work. But the point is, we always think trauma is something big. These things also create trauma in us. And we need to apply rain to this. So just digging below the surface, which is what we'll do today. So if there is things, there is something that you feel, it happened. It happens. Please don't give me that sentence. होता है ना, यही तो trauma है. This is what is trauma, no? Now, one of my clients was telling me she was a child in the school bus. The school bus is driving home and they pass the police station. She notices her dad fallen on the ground over. She says, I was mortified. I was like shocked. I didn't know what had happened. Why was my dad at the police station? Why was he fallen down there? And then she says, a day or two later, her bus driver takes her aside and tells her, look, your dad is a drunkard. The policemen have also caught him. That is trauma. This is what is trauma. These are not big things that, someone had an accident. That is trauma. No, these are traumatic situations. Please try to understand what is trauma. If you're just pushing and shoving things under the carpet saying, हाँ ये होता है, सबके साथ होता है, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? This is one sentence I detest. इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? यही तो बड़ी बात है. These are the issues where the trauma is hiding in the cracks and crevices of normal everyday happenings, what we call normal. Maybe someone teasing you on a daily basis, which I did to my sister, could have caused her trauma. It caused the little child trauma. It may not cause her trauma today. And you are looking at that event with today's glasses, which is why you say, ये तो छोटी सी बात है. But is that inner child in agreement? Does that inner child agree that ये छोटी सी बात है? Check with your inner child. When you check with your inner child, you'll understand, okay, this is trauma. My inner child went through trauma. I need to heal the inner child. That's why when we did the 21-day inch loss meditation, many of them found healing. Many of them found inches getting lost, though the weight didn't reduce. Because we worked on inner child work. We did trauma work there. So let's get into today's session also, keeping this in mind that there's a lot of stuff hidden in our cells, which need. Yes, Frez, you want to say something?
I had to ask, we talk about inner child, but does it necessarily have to be situations that have only happened in childhood, or can our inner child be affected even as we're adults, and traumatic incidents may happen which don't necessarily have to be traced that back?
Okay, very good question. Actually, when you are working after age 18, specifically after age 17, when you're working in an automatic mode, the automatic is because the inner child is dictating to you how to behave. Inner child is pulling your strings. And you don't even realize that. See, the whole thing happens automatically. You take the instance of someone getting angry. You get really angry, really pissed off with someone. The incident may be something small, but you are feeling huge anger. and you're really not able to understand why you're feeling this huge anger, but you are feeling this huge anger. It's because the inner child is feeling agitated. And if you use statements like, you always treat me like this, that's a sure sign that the damage is not at the current level so much, it is at the inner child level. When you use statements like, you always do this to me, the one who's deeply hurt or deeply wounded is sitting inside the inner child. And I think when I do inner child work in my one-to-one, I always do inner child work in my one-to-one. Sometimes in 1 or 2 sessions, the client receives the healing because the healing happens at the inner child level. And after that healing, the same pattern doesn't get repeated. That is interesting to know. Some of our pains and aches are also because the trauma is sitting in our cells. So when we release it, it goes, it never comes back. Let's do this today. I know it's very interesting, but we will get into inner child work. I prefer to do it in one-to-ones, though I do it, you can't do. See, if you have a particular issue, I can't expect you to air it in a group. It is inner child work is best done when it is either in a meditation, I can do a general thing, but if there's something specific, it needs to be worked on one-to-one.
Just to
Oh, sorry, Savya, unmute.
just to share, I have this. I get very irritated when girls, especially when they used to come to work with hair left loose, and I used to always complain to them, my staff. I would tell them, please tie your hair up. This is not a place of fashion. You tie your hair up
At
and
your
then you
corporate
work,
job,
because otherwise
at
they
your
are always.
corporate job, you're saying.
Yes, at my
Okay.
corporate job. Anyone on my shift with hair left had to hear from me for no, on end. And I later, I mean now I realized, as in some of the sessions that we've done, that as a child, I remember this one time where we were getting late for school. So instead of tying two plaits, mummy tied ponytails. So the ponytail was from here till here, so it was long. And I was pulled up in school by one of the teachers that I extremely disliked, and she fired me in front of a lot of students. And I think that is something that I carried on. Ki this is wrong. Nahi karna.
Yeah. Yeah, that's trauma. That's
Is
right.
that mem-
I have a similar traumatic situation in school. One day I went with one ponytail. There was a plait behind. So it was plaited, but it was one, not two. So I got on my hands with the ruler. And you notice now that I can never leave mine. I can never leave mine. I can never leave it open. I can do it at home, perhaps for some time. But in public, I will have it tied as much as possible. It's very deeply ingrained. If I sit to work on it, I don't know what will come out. Okay. Thank you for that sharing. Thank you, all of you all. So this is deep work, as you can see. Forgiveness is not, it's not as if only big things need forgiving. There are these small things which are holding us captive. Those need to be released. So just get into your heart space today. It's a very loving meditation.
So that
Just,
means
yeah,
day in and day out, we are being traumatized.
yeah, I would say that, yes.
इसका मतलब
Thank you.
50 साल तो 50 साल में कितना काम करना पड़ेगा?
बहुत काम बाकी है. चलो, let's just invite our higher self to be present with us in this meditation. As we breathe in, positive energy. Breathe in light. Breathe in understanding. And as you breathe out, release darkness. Release tension. Release clouds and mists. Leave your hands on your thighs in an open position. So palms turned upwards. Allow your fingers to relax. If you notice during the meditation that your body is closing itself in, observe the point at which the closing happens. And again, direct your hands to your thighs in open palm posture. So allow any one incident to surface where you felt that you were blaming others. Or you were judging them. And let's recognize that we have been judgmental. Let's recognize the clay for what it is. Let's allow ourselves to feel the blame for the other person. Feel it. Is the blame hard or soft? Is it a mist? What color is the blame? So you allow yourself to feel this blame. You could say the words, whisper them. I am, and name the emotion. Or I feel, and name the emotion. Open up that blame. What is below the blame? Let's investigate. What is below the surface? What is below the clay? Investigate how your body is responding to this incident. Any tingling, vibration, a flicker of pain, sudden sharp pain. Observe all this. Does any memory surface for you, or any word? When you say, I am, and you name the emotion, use this formula in order to arrive at a deeper level. I felt hurt when this happened. And below the hurt was maybe it was shame. Maybe it was a feeling of unworthiness. You willing to just experience this as well? So just put your hand on your heart. Allow that situation to still hold you. Allow the emotions of that situation to float around you. With your hand on your heart, feeling your heartbeat. I want you to whisper these words to your heart. Whisper them. I care. I care. I am here. I am here. I am not leaving you. I am not abandoning you. This is how you practice it whenever past incident surfaces. Connect to your heart. Once you've done the recognizing and the allowing and the investigating, you nurture love with your heart. What do you sense your heart saying to you? Are those barriers coming down? Notice how your body is responding. Do you notice a stillness? Do you notice a sense of calmness? Allow that stillness to expand. Some of you may notice tenderness. You may notice a deep love. Just allow that to expand. You could actually use your hands to create space for it to expand in front of you, so that your energetic body feels revived. And if any of you have a person in mind for whom you're doing this action, I want you to imagine that person as a little infant. Just hold that infant in your arms. Are you able to hold them? Are you able to feel loving towards them? Are you able to cuddle them, hold them close? Don't force yourself. Just feel into my suggestions and up to what level you can immerse yourself in that. This is a practice, and practice requires repetition. Give a gentle tap to your heart and say, "It is done." So be it, and so it is. And draw your attention back into your body. To the seat on which you are seated, giving grateful thanks to the smallest of things around you, which help you to ground yourself. Your bed or your chair, your feet touching the floor, or your feet just getting the sense of security from the ground. And you can rub the palms of your hands. Bring loving warmth into them. Bring them to your eyes, blinking a few times before you open your eyes.